Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time zone you may be listening to this show live or watching it in playback. My name is Mike DiMuccio. Welcome to Hanging Out with Mike DiMuccio. We have a special guest this evening, Royal Diamond Herb Rapp, who's standing by to field my questions and any questions you may have. If you have a question for either myself or her, please feel free to give us a chat at our Google Plus post page. Look for us, the Royal Alliance, on Google Plus or Facebook. You can also tweet us, and our call sign there is at Royal Alliance 1, the number 1. You see that just at the bottom of my screen. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show, and I want to just go straight into this interview because Herb is he's a good man. I've known Herb for many, many years now that I've been in Niken, almost as many years as I've been in Niken, and I knew a lot more about his story before I actually met the person, but I've always found him to be a gentleman. One of the people who is the kindest, positive, upbeat. I've never seen Herb down in any of the situations or circumstances I've been through. He's just somebody who helps uplift the leaders of Niken, and I think that's a real calling in itself. And he's with us this evening, so let us get straight to it. Welcome, Herb Rapp, Royal Diamond in Niken. How you doing, Herb?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks so much. It's great to be with you tonight.
It's a pleasure to have you. Where exactly are you this evening?
Westminster, California, just a few minutes from corporate headquarters.
Lovely. Awesome. So you get to spend some time at that beautiful head office, don't you?
Well, I'm saving a few $100 a month on shipping, I can tell you that.
I tell you what, I mean, it's not to be understated. If there's an opportunity for somebody to have an opportunity to go and actually spend some time there, whether it's a Niken event or just passing through, it's quite a statement about who we are, what Niken is all about, wouldn't you say?
Most people never get an opportunity to work for one of the major corporations of the world, and unless you've been to Japan and gone to the airport and seen Niken on the little carts that pick up the luggage, or gone out of the parking lot and see Niken on a big billboard, you have no idea the scale that Niken is, other than when you come to corporate headquarters, you know there's something big going on, because this building could be the United Nations, the way the flags are outside, and they filmed 15 movies here, shared it a music video. The Army did a wonderful commercial. Range Rover, Lexus, Jeep, all these big companies come in there. In fact, the celebrities all get a package of Niken products. So many of the celebrities have commented on the products being extraordinary. And I believe that Robert Downey Jr. said, I'm really amazed at these products. He'd been there more than once with Iron Man and I think one other movie, but he said these products were amazing, and he was very impressed.
Phenomenal. Yeah, this is the first time I've heard a lot of that. So you've got a real good history of what goes on in that headquarters. That's really cool. And
it's an exciting place because the building itself just almost gives you goosebumps. And when you, I love the story of Judy Boger. One night had some friends over. Judy, one of our Royal Diamonds, had some friends over and just grabbed a couple of movies, and she happened to pick two movies that Niken was in, both Elizabethtown and then I think Thank You for Smoking. And she didn't realize it. Her friends said, "Oh, sure, you didn't realize it."
That's sweet. Well, anyway, I thank you for starting that way, because I think that's a really cool history lesson for a lot of us who've not spent as much time as you have there to know a little bit more about what's the going-ons of Niken and why is Niken such a high-profile company and maybe a closed-circuit community, you might say. Herb, you've been with Niken almost as long as me, 18 years. Royal Diamond with Niken. Wow. But we're going to get to that. We're going to get to the now. I think what people really need to know a little bit about, myself included, is where you were at in life before this thing called Niken ever hit your doorstep. And so maybe you can rewind the clock a little bit. Give us a little bit of history, personal history about where you started. Your professional background is a pro athlete. As a professional tennis player, you were in the U.S. Open, and so tell us a little bit about life before, as a professional athlete, before Niken ever entered the picture.
Well, I'll backpedal to my sophomore year in high school when I decided I wanted to pursue a career in tennis. I was a basketball player and a tennis player, and as a senior was city scoring champ and had 33 basketball scholarship opportunities. But I really knew that tennis was my long-term opportunity for not only something that would be enjoyable and the potential to maybe make some money professionally, but the main thing was I knew that when my career competitively was over, I would love to teach the game. So that's the reason that basketball didn't make sense. And as you notice on the screen, I'm a white guy, and white guys can't jump. So even though I got a recruiting letter from the #1 team in the nation, I knew that I was not cut out to be a professional basketball player. But I spent my 4 years in college competing and beat a lot of top players and ended up beating a few players that ended up playing professionally. But my senior year, I played the U.S. Open and played #1 for the Florida State team, had a very good record, but back troubles sidelined me the next year in 1970, and I accepted the fact that I better go ahead and just get involved with teaching. In those days, a lot of clubs were being built, and they were looking for pros. So I found right there in Tallahassee a beautiful country club had just opened. They were looking for a pro, and I was a good candidate because I had played 4 years there, knew the entire tennis community. So they hired me, and that was the beginning of my tennis teaching career, which has lasted 27 years. Took me from Tallahassee for several years to Las Vegas, Nevada for 15 years. And the 2 major country clubs in Las Vegas, I was the director there for a while, built one of the clubs, helped design it, and 10 years in Southern California when Nikan came into my life. And you talk about things happening serendipitously. My tennis career had been a very enjoyable one. I taught tennis not only at the club, but I also taught in Saudi Arabia 1 month at a time for 10 years, taught in Switzerland 9 years, about 3 weeks to a month during the summer, at the end of the summer. So I traveled the globe, played competitively in Europe and South America, throughout the United States, started summer tennis camps. I did literally everything there was to do in tennis. So when Nikan came along, it was just about that time in life where most people reach, where they feel like, I've really done everything there is to do in this sport. And that was the beautiful thing for me. I did not ever think I would leave tennis, but I really believe that Nikan came along and met a multitude of needs I had in my life when it
Were
showed
you
up.
aware of those needs at that time, or did it just sort of ring the bell and you realized, oh my goodness, there's some things that are still out there for me?
Well, you know, when I made that decision as a sophomore in high school that I wanted to be a tennis player / teaching professional, I never thought about the money I was going to make. I thought about the joy I was going to have doing the business, and I enjoyed having 13 tennis stores. I opened the first tennis specialty shop in the state of Florida. I loved retail, but no, when Nikan came along, it was like an answer to prayer. Basically, I believe, because I had a mother who was in severe discomfort with crippling rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. She was really in a lot of discomfort. So I actually, like many of the people you're going to interview, was in search of something to help her. And simultaneously, one thing I knew I needed personally was a different income stream, because my cash flow was such that I was treading water with about $100,000 in debt, money coming in, money going out, no progress as far as reducing that debt. So I know that once my mother got her benefit, my prayer was, now what do I do with this as a business? Because I was working 65 hours a week like many people, didn't know how I could add anything else to the equation. Had heard of network marketing. I loved the concept, used many of the products, but not really, never really saw the opportunity to make money.
So this is interesting. So in spite of how glamorous it seems your career, and there's a lot of people out there maybe who've got children or who are in the early stages of developing their personal career, who may be looking at, you know, athletics or something and thinking, oh, how glamorous it is. But I guess the percentage of people who get those multi-million-dollar checks are pretty slim. So and you were living pretty much, I guess, what you would consider the average life of a professional in that, at the highest levels of that sport, not necessarily at the multi-million-dollar career level, but
well, I was a
good
teacher.
life.
I was a teacher, and I was making in excess of $100,000 a year, and I had multiple streams of income, Mike. But with multiple streams of income in that business, you got multiple headaches. I joke about my assistant pro. My staff in my store in Las Vegas at the country club said, "You can't believe how good a tennis player is when you leave town." And he just, you know, he would brag about things that weren't really accurate as far as what he had done. And, you know, every assistant tennis pro hopes you break your leg or end up getting in the wrong bed at night or something. You know how that goes. But
Right.
I love the tennis career. It really answered what I was looking for, is to have an enjoyable life. And I was always at the top of the money-making spectrum. But as you know, if you got a home and a couple of nice cars and 2 kids, and you know, the bills, it's real hard to stay ahead of them on $100,000 a year.
Interesting. And yet $100,000 a year still at this point in time is an amazing income stream. Okay, so enter Niken. You said you saw an effect with your mother. What was that particularly?
Well, she was doubled over, and her hands were frozen, her joints were all inflamed, and her hands were really in bad shape with her osteoarthritis and then rheumatoid arthritis, and she was on a lot of meds, and so her quality of life was zero. She had told me she wished she could die. If she could push a button, she would and be dead, and so that really set me on a path. In one of your hangouts, someone you mentioned that you've heard a lot of people that you've talked to say that they were in prayer for something to come along, and that was definitely my situation. And I think it was less than 2 weeks, just like Julie Tara said, less than 2 weeks of prayer, something showed up, and two football players from the San Diego Chargers came to my club to show Niken to the health club director, and they were there a week doing demos before I actually went to them. So I had a tennis elbow that had been lingering for 2 weeks, and it pretty much kept me from hitting with a lot of my students. But I put a sleeve and a couple of magnets on my elbow. In 2 days, I was back on the court 3 hours in a row, which is also a miraculous result. My mother was the thing that really got me excited, because she was the person that was concerning me so much that she was not enjoying life, and she'd never been in a hospital before, but her discomfort had gotten severe. So when she got better in 30 days, she went from being in miserable discomfort. In 30 days, she's walking almost upright without a walker, hands fully functional, 95% pain-free.
Wow. Would you say that you were spellbound by Niken as a result of the product experience, or was there some information or something that you were looking at that the product information validated? Which came first, the idea of the opportunity, or simply the idea that these products can actually help your mom and yourself?
Well, I prayed for a couple of weeks. My mother used 4 products between Thanksgiving and Christmas, had that result, and then I asked God, what should I do with this? I mean, I don't know how to do this as a business. I don't know anything about network marketing. And a lady at my church, when I went forward at the end of the service, put her hand on my shoulder and prayed for me. When she got done, she held her hand out and she said, "The Lord told me to tell you He's putting in your hands the key to the answer to your prayers." That was January 7th. And I started my business 1 week later, and I still kept all the invoices. I did $20,000 in sales in 2 weeks, and there were traffic advisory rings every single day of that 2 weeks. And I caught the attention of my upline, which was William Todd and Reed Nelson, and they flew into town and asked me if I'd be interested in doing this full time, if I could replace my income. And the answer was a definite, resounding yes. I would love to do this. So I felt like God had put me on a mission. He'd given me a destiny to make a difference in my life financially, and he'd give me a great indicator of what I was working with my mother's result.
Fantastic. Wow, that's so succinct. And it's true that I have interviewed others, and there seems to be this definitive window of prayer answer within about 2 weeks. It's extraordinary that this is a consistent thing. Okay, so obviously now with the support of the upline coming in and saying, wow, okay, you're somebody that we should be paying attention to. You've gotten results. We don't know who you are. You probably don't even know what you're doing, but the results are piling in. And at that time, 20,000 is 20,000 in volume. But you have a business now that's global. It's doing significantly more. So something happened. There's a transition. So how did you first approach this? Your background is athletics, not business. How did you cross that chasm in your mind of your own identity? I mean, I believe that a lot of people join the Niken business from whatever career or profession they come from, and for the longest time, myself included, I shared in my own personal interview when Julie Tara asked me, was that there was this identity crisis. Am I a musician? Am I a Niken consultant? What am I? Did you have such an occurrence? Did you, how did you cross the chasm of what am I? Am I a pro athlete? Am I a teacher, or am I a network marketer? Am I a Niken guy, a magnet guy? Like, how did you close that gap and really align yourself with your purpose here?
I was very fortunate that, having an upline like Reed Nelson, who can sit down with you and really give you the right stuff right off the bat. I started off with the right information, and I did a 60K club in my 6th month, broke 3 silvers and went platinum in my 6th month that year. And they had a national convention, and I I was getting tired going up on the stage for President's Club and for 60K Club and all these different awards, and I just felt like God had just placed me in the right place, just gave me the upline support that I needed. The comment they made to me was, what you need to do is take your success in tennis and translate what you did in tennis. In other words, you set goals, you had a mentor, you did the work, you did the practice, you paid the dues, you played in the tournaments, you traveled. I did all it took to become a U.S. Open level tennis player, and I didn't start playing tennis until I was a freshman in high school. So I really played 4 summers of tennis, then went to college. So I really played a lot less tennis than almost anybody in the country that was on a college tennis scholarship. In Nikken, I got the right stuff right at the beginning, and that made all the difference. I could translate the success of my upline into my success, and I never felt like I was stumbling around out there. I recruited 20, 25 people a month every month, and it just came natural to me to share the enthusiasm I had for what the products had done. And when you're upside down $100,000, that financial success, made $8,000 the first 6 weeks, and an $8,000 check in the 6th month, and the consistent $6,000 a month. By the end of the year, it was $10,000 a month. By the end of the 2nd year, it was $20,000 a month, and it's averaged that for 15 years. In the last few years, actually, with the economy going downhill, my income has actually gone up. So it's been just, I'm very humbled every 10th of the month when I look at the computer, and very often I have tears in my eyes when I see what's happening in an economy where so many people are struggling, and my business is continuing to stay strong and actually grow.
That's remarkable. I'm almost stumped to even ask a question right now. So you shared with me the other day, I think it was yesterday actually, we were talking about Susan Carver, who I interviewed just a couple of weeks ago, and great story, great success, new Royal Diamond, Nikken's newest Royal Diamond, huge business in Latin America, and you shared with me that she was in your very first Nikken Wellness preview. She was a guest that appeared. And then you also shared with me that I think her story that she mentioned on her call, that she couldn't sit still and left the room, was actually verified by you. She left the room in about 15 minutes, you said, and most people would have gotten the impression that, oh my God, she's not interested. But turns out that she was not only interested, she's one of your biggest business legs. She's one of your biggest legs, yes?
Yes, she's my biggest leg. And, Mike, if I had to say something, if I had to leave the audience with one thought, it would be that I believe that there is a divine influence on this Nikken company. And I can tell you that I was praying for something. Susan needed something in her life, and she, like she said in her interview, she could very easily have stayed home that night. But my strategy was, I sat down with that man who was her customer, and I painted a picture for him to get in my business and give me leads. And he liked the idea. He gave me one lead, and that was Susan Carver. And Susan, out of deference to him and appreciation for him, came to that presentation. And that was my first wellness preview. And it was at the hotel that man was managing. And Susan got up at about 15 or 20 minutes into the presentation. And I didn't see her face. I just saw her body leaving the room. But when I went outside afterwards, she was just going up and down the sidewalk. And she was telling me what was going to happen. And it's been a treat to watch her progress. And, there's a saying that when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And it's also true that when the teacher's ready, the student will appear. Because she was such a controller in the early days of her business, she wanted to help everybody so much. She's like the person that took the caterpillar out of the cocoon to save it the time and energy, and it kills the butterfly. That's what Susan did. She would go to Kalamazoo, help people, and the volume would go up. Then she'd go down to North Carolina, and the Kalamazoo volume would go down. And then North Carolina volume would go up. Then she'd come back to Florida. But she just wanted to do everything for everyone, and she was such a caring person. And she is one of the most loved people in the company, and God gave her to me the very first preview. And she said to me, I may not be your biggest distributor, but I'm going to be around the longest, and I'll be the most successful one you have. And she has lived up to that prophecy.
That's awesome. Great story. Now, of course, you have a huge business as a result of that, and others. Brad Arnaz, I believe, is also in that organization. So you've got a huge Latin American business, and it's one of the thriving growth sectors of the Nikken global economy. So I'm sure you're very proud of that, and and enjoy the benefits of fanning the flames of that fire. Do you spend any time down in Latin America?
I just got back from 3 weeks in Colombia and Peru, and it is the most invigorating experience a person could have, because just seeing what we heard about 15 years ago and 17 years ago, Mike, was that you don't know where your business is going to go. And there's tremendous stories like Igor Grundles with his German business just exploding like crazy. And I've been very blessed that Brad Arns and Herbert Patino and Susan Carver have gone down into South America as much as they have, and they have the most on-fire consultants in the entire NICAN world as far as large numbers. And last December in Colombia, they set a Latin American record, and I know my team alone was over 2 million points. So you can imagine what's going on in that country where, a lot of people work all month for a week for a mag boy. So, there are people with money, and the business has gotten into the upper echelons of the economy in Colombia. Ecuador is one of the most amazing countries. In the first 6 months, one lady had in her first 8 months, 4 checks were over 9,000, and in her 6 months, she did $500,000 in sales. Can you imagine that in a country there? And there was not double points on anything. So what we're seeing down there is we're seeing people that really love networking. And the thing I shared when I was down there is the difference between there and here is down in South America, across the board, your family and friends love to get in business with you. Instead of ostracizing you, they want to be in your business. And I just had such a treat watching the Colombian Awards at the end of the year. I was there for that awards banquet. 80% of the awards were to my team. So you can imagine the proud grandfather of Susan, and Brad and Paula and Herbert Patino's, their efforts primarily. One lady often does 60 to 100,000 points a month in Colombia. It's just an amazing mentality, and they're tremendous networkers. They're very good leaders, and there's just a lot of leadership down there.
Well, it really speaks to the idea that first of all, the Latin American community. I'm Latin, and my background Italian, of course, and very passionate, very expressive, and so this certainly is a medium through which they can find their niche, and there's obviously the need. Those economies are very depressed economies, and so these are people with a need. So NICAN is certainly filling that need, as you found for your own personal story.
I got to correct you on that. Those are emerging economies. America's the one in the toilet.
Okay, perfect. So the need is here more than ever. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Mike, we've got to import their enthusiasm back into the United States, because these people are now cross-recruiting back into the United States, and you know what a $3,000 check will do in America? A little. Doesn't solve anybody's problem, pretty much. Down there, $3,000, you're living large. Colombia has probably 30 people driving company cars. So it's Colombia, a major emerging economy. Peru, emerging economy. Ecuador is on the dollar, and they're emerging. So they're on an upswing. Obviously, it's still, I was just in Lima, for example, 70% of the city of 10 million is in poverty. 20% is middle class, and 10% is upper class. But the thing is, they're a growth economy. Problems are being solved. I don't see that happening in America right now. I don't feel like our problems are being solved. In fact, I think in Congress they're beating each other up over the problems and how to solve them. So there's a fear-based mentality in America, which I come back here, you can list 10 excuses why people aren't really, sure what to do next. Down there, you don't hear anybody complaining. I don't go down there and hear, 5 people left my team. I never hear anybody leaving NICAN's team. So it's a nice situation.
I think it speaks to the need here now more than ever that, and it's something that I want to just address because we're a little bit advanced, because I want to get back to your perspective as a professional athlete, because there's a lot of people who will listen to this and utilize this video as a playback for people who are pro athletes or athletic in nature, and need a perspective as to why NICAN fills a huge bill from that standpoint. So I'm going to come back to that, but you mentioned to me about looking for your next diamond. You got 2 big legs, and you're looking for the next person. And this is now 18 years into the equation, an average of $20,000 a month, but you're still active in NICAN. It's not like you took a sabbatical or retired or I mean, you're very much in the game. Your passion for what's going on in Latin America, your desire to help address the needs of the North American market, even if it means having them reassess their own perspective on things, because I really think that's what's necessary. I think the North American perspective is so depressed mentally and emotionally that they almost don't know how to solve the problem. They're almost even closed to the possibility there is a solution. Meanwhile, you and I both know, we both experienced this real time, that this is a solution, a very viable solution. More so, would you agree with this statement? Nikken is more so a solution today than it was when you first got involved.
No question about it, Mike. No question about it. The track record is already improving. Right now, every week, 100,000 people are looking at network marketing, and 50 to 70,000 are signing up. Now, the question in America is, who do I believe? And Mike, we don't even have 1% market penetration. And people ask me, how can this products be so in the dark? And I said, the problem we have is we have a small market distribution team right now, and unless you market through the media, you can never reach more than 1 or 2% market penetration. And so that's the challenge we have. Every day, Mike, more people are born than are told about Nikken. So we're literally losing ground every day as far as market penetration. So what we really need to have is a passionate few people that will really, break through. Like, I believe we're going to have a breakthrough. I believe that President Obama will fall down the stairs of the White House and need a back flex and some knee support to the sleep system. That would get some notoriety.
Well, that would be divine providence, wouldn't it?
Well, I wouldn't mind if he had a product experience and shared it on his next address to the nation.
It's funny you should say that, because I think we're kind of due. Don't you feel that?
Mike, we're way overdue. I'm looking at all my testimonials. I talk about athletes, and we don't have anything for the last 6 or 8 years really of a good athletic testimonial.
Well, tell me about that. Tell me about your experience with the pros. I mean, you've obviously had some experience that you were in your neck of the woods when you first learned about this, but what exactly have you been able to do in the way of the pro athletes, and why would a pro athlete consider this not only from the standpoint of the products, and I think that's valuable, but as a business?
Well, I can tell you the best example was I was on a run to Diamond, and I had a professional golfer from Las Vegas named Doug Huary, and he had agreed to be my last platinum for Diamond. And we were on a run, and he was from Denver, Colorado, where he grew up. And he had a chance to play golf at the Cherry Hills Country Club, and he took his mag stiffs out and wove them in, waved them around and said, "Anybody ever seen these?" Well, he went over and did a strength test on a gentleman who said, "You've got to go upstairs right now and show this to Pat Bolin, John Elway, and Mike Shanahan. They're having lunch upstairs in the club." They went upstairs and they looked at this product and they said, "We need this for the Broncos." A week later, he's standing in front of the Super Bowl trophy, introducing it to 13 trainers, 21 boosters, Elway, Shanahan, and Bolin. Over the next few months, the Broncos bought product, and the gentleman who is still with the company, he had the misfortune that another distributor got into the training room and got some of the players on the product and actually signed up Rod Smith and a few other players. Rod Smith was MVP of the Super Bowl and #1 receiver in the league, and he actually started doing the business. And a few of the other ones did the business as well, and they spent over $50,000 on products over the next 6 months or so. And they did a full page. The front page of the newspaper had a Magnet Man is influencing the Denver Broncos, and a picture of Rod Smith. And it's just, the Broncos used the product, the 49ers, the Dolphins, the Cincinnati Bengals. But, for example, one of my distributors got the product in the Cincinnati Bengals. They made him sign a contract that said, "We will not tell anybody that the Cincinnati Bengals are using the product." And it's like that in football particularly. Now, in the other sports where it's shown up, my favorite golf story is John Houston, the professional golfer, ranked number 121, rotator problems, back problems, bought the same 4 products my mother bought he bought them from Ryan Albert and also David Ledbetter, who was considered the best golf pro in the world as far as teaching. And then 6 weeks later, John Houston breaks a 30-year-old record, 28 under par, wins $460,000 and wins the Hawaiian Open.
Wow.
He goes on a tear, wins over $9 million over the next 5, 6, 7 years. He's a senior player now. His wife became a distributor, and then he got Rocco Media and a bunch of other pros to use the product. Never was going to do the business. But that was what can happen to a pro golfer with rotator problems and a bad back. 6 weeks later, he breaks a 30-year-old record, and he was interviewed by USA Today, and there's a beautiful article talks about Magnus over half of the article. And what the Magnus did for him, he traveled with the back flex, the insoles, the Mag Boy, and the sleep pad on the tour.
And I know you've got story upon story about this, and it's just stunning to me that it's still the best kept secret out there.
You know what? If you sit down with an athlete and you say, I've got a product that's going to do these 3 things for you. It's going to help you recover from an existing injury. It's going to help you prevent future injuries. And it's going to raise your performance anywhere, I would say 10, 15% minimum. You're physically stronger. You got more range of movement. At 20 years old, 20% of your vascular system is shut down. At 40% is shut down, and it diminishes till you die. I'm 65. I'm more flexible than when I was 20 playing the U.S. Open. I got more strength. I put on about 12, 15 pounds of muscle in the last 2 years. I know what can happen if your body has a complete vascular system functioning. You get good nutrition. You get good sleep. You drink great water. I can play 2 hours of full-court basketball with 25-year-old kids. In fact, I played 2 hours with some kids, and I was walking off the court, and I was asking this kid, have you ever heard of Dave Cowens? He said, yeah, he's a coach out west. And I said, yeah, I played freshman ball with him at Florida State University 40 years ago. He said, how the hell old are you? That was one of the best freshman basketball teams in the history of college basketball. I didn't mention that I was invited to come out for the freshman basketball team after they saw me play in the fraternity league. So I got to play freshman ball and tennis at Florida State.
Well, this is a little footnote for our producer, Bobby. Boy, we got a soundbite in the last 2 minutes there, I swear to God. Okay, I just want to let everybody know who's watching. If you have a question for either myself or Herb, please feel free to tweet us at Royal Alliance 1 or send us a post on our Google Plus page. I do have a question, and I do want to come back to the other point of view, and that's the business. But let me ask this question. This is on behalf of Roxanne Reese. She sent us a post on our Google Plus page here. It says, ask Herb how he feels about the friendships he's developed in Nikken. Does he feel there's something special going on here? He's been around a long time and has seen many changes. I'm assuming that it is more than the money that keeps him so engaged. Can you address that?
Going back to my beginning when I was on my knees praying for something to show up, and I'm sure I look back on it a while later and I realized that I made a deal with God that if he gave me something from my mom, I'd do whatever he wanted me to do the rest of my life. Well, the rest of the story is in December of '05, I had the audacity to hope to break 8 silvers and make the level of Royal Diamond. And he reminded me that this was my destiny and this is what he wanted me to do. So I've never ever thought of doing anything else. This past summer I passed $100 million in sales with my team, and I'm approaching $5 million in earnings. And I've never felt like there was anything else. In fact, I was offered a pretty good size of a check to come over to another company and a guarantee of a monthly income. And I said, you could offer me $1 million. I would not leave Nikken because I could never get more gratification than I've already gotten. If my checks stop now, I have been blessed like crazy. But I do feel like something's going on here. I've talked to so many people that were in need physically and financially, and they came up with Nikken as an answer to their prayers. And when I talked to people, I spoke down in Colombia, and I shared with them that you need to know who you're talking to out there. Everyone you're talking to is dealing with challenges. Either their finances are challenged, their health is challenged, or relationships are challenged. And we know that when your finances are challenged, you're going to have relationship challenges. Now, if you think about what these energies are all about, they're the energy of the earth, the energy of the sun, and the energy that comes from crashing water. Last time I checked, those were gifts to us from God. And my belief is our bodies have the ability to live a long, long time, much longer than we're living. In fact, when I broke those 8 silvers in December of '05, I've got a book I'm working on that God wanted me to write, and it's kind of a crazy thing. I never thought I'd ever write a book, but I'm close to finishing it. But the idea is that we should live 120 years, Mike, and the only reason we're not is we're making choices that are cutting our lives short. Science has found our organs will live 120 years. And we have people living to 167. One lady in France lived to 167, and the reason they believed it is she has 4 kids at home still alive, ranging 128 to 132.
Oh my goodness.
So these bodies we have will last a long time. So people say, well, what do you're looking healthy and everything. Well, my hobby is staying as healthy as I can. And I believe God's given me a chance to show people that you can still play tennis at 100 years old. You can still be alert. You can still function. You don't have to have bad knees, bad back, or arthritis. You don't have to be walking around on a walker or a cane. And we know that you can build muscle as long as you're alive. So my feeling is, to answer her question, is I believe God wants us in Nikan to show longevity, quality of life, live life the way we should, care more about others than we care about ourselves. And that's the way I feel about it. I feel like my goal now is to help as many people as I can enjoy the health, but also enjoy the financial freedom. Because in the Bible, 3 John 2 says, "Beloved, it's my desire that you prosper. Be in good health, even as your soul prospers." And the God that I think of as being the God that cares about people doesn't want us to be spiritually superstars and broke and have bad relationships and be in bad health. It's a total package. You know, it's that 5 pillars mentality, which is, I think that's one of the biggest sales pitches we've got, is that, hey, we're a company that from the get-go, we looked at balance as being something to strive for. You know, and we've enjoyed more balance. You know, I was a tennis pro, looked like I was in great shape. I went to the health club every day because I had to go through the health club to get to the tennis courts. I didn't work out every day, but I'm enjoying every aspect of this, and I really believe that I had a terrible tragedy in my life. I lost my fiance 5 weeks before getting married last year. And I can guarantee you the friends I had in Nikan are the ones that eased the discomfort I was dealing with. I can use pain with that, can't I? I don't have to worry about the word pain. I mean, the contacts I got from my Nikan family were amazing. And, you know, I think that's what we're supposed to be here for. We're supposed to be here for each other and to share what this business can be. For anyone that wants to put the time in and be coached and be coachable, then, you know, Nikan is the best of both worlds, you know, to have the health and have the finances and then give back. It's a total package, Mike.
Just listening to you, I feel like saying to somebody who's out there, I got a question today, somebody I just sponsored who's asked, you know, how do you handle the, is this like a pyramid or this is just like a pyramid? I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, God, if they knew what you knew, Herb, if they knew it at the level that you do, they wouldn't be asking that silly question. You know, this is obviously something more to you and to many of us. It's more of a calling than it is anything else, and the fact that we can be well compensated to make it worthwhile, because we still do have to function with the need for finances in this world, the fact that we are paid well to do this just makes it more possible for us to do it in a bigger way. I guess, you know, the expression money just makes you more of who you already are. And if you're a giver, this is just going to make you be able to give in spades. You travel, you jump on a plane. We all pay our own expenses when we do that, and it gives us the ability to reach out and touch more lives and more places.
I shared that, Mike, with the people down in South America. You know, I'd never totaled up what I've been able to do, and I shared with them. I remember so many times when I was growing up, I watched those television commercials of the little children with the stomachs that were swollen and just, you know, having real severe health challenges. And I always wished I could have done something, but I never had the money. You know, and I always said, you know, if you ask people, would you ever like to help people less fortunate, people in need? And they say, yeah. And they said, the best way is not to be one of them. You know, and I felt like I was one of them. I felt like, you know, I never had any money left at the end of the month ever. And I just calculated, you know, and this is just to share what Nikan's blessed me with, nearly $500,000 of giving in the last 18 years, and I've been sponsoring 10 children around the world with Child Fund. And with the passing of Jennifer, I'm starting an organization, Friends of Jennifer Know, called Jennifer's Kids, and we're going to support kids around the world through Child Fund. That was her goal. I asked her what she would like to do if she had $1 billion, and she said, I'd like to have help children around the world that needed help like I did when my father died at 9 years old, and I was sent off to live with my aunt in Japan, and she took care of herself the rest of her life. So she was on her own at age 9 and worked 3 jobs to get through high school and 2 jobs to get through college. So the answer is a resounding yes. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye with Nikan. We've had a very favorable hand upon us. The fact that we haven't ever been sued for our, you know, being amazing health products. We've got a very favorable situation with the FDA, and we've never had a lawsuit over our products. That's a beautiful record for 30, you know, some years. It's a miraculous record, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I would say, and that's not a testament to the products. It's just a testament to the good way we're conducting business and staying, you know, under the radar of people who otherwise would rather us not be around.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, Wow, this is a great interview. I'm very pleased that we had a chance to make this happen. Um, I want to sort of go back to that question of being a pro athlete, and these whatever age they might be in at life, and this could pretty much apply to just about anybody, because Nikan doesn't have to be necessarily a solution to what's wrong with what's going on in your life. There may be a good career you may be enjoying. You may be enjoying your profession as an athlete, or whatever profession you might be. Why would somebody consider adding Nikan to the slate, if you will, if it's already a pretty busy slate?
Mike, I love that. I love that question because I love the answer. No one, when they're 20 years old, thinks pessimistically, do they? Did you ever think at 20 years old, I'm going to get divorced a couple of times, I'm going to lose a couple properties, I'm going to invest in the wrong things, I'm going to be lied to by a friend and make an invest. You don't think about all that stuff. And the reality of it is, most people between 20 and 35 take a hit or two or more that leaves them mentally crippled the rest of their life in the way of finances. Nikan gives you the opportunity to overcome that. There's all kinds of stories of fortunes being made by people just having met the right person, having found someone who found someone who found someone. And it's like holding a lottery ticket. The solution can show up almost any time. And I really believe that in school, the lack of teaching about entrepreneurship is a criminal offense. Entrepreneurship is really what is in our DNA. And yet we're trained in industrial age thinking, take a job, work 40 years, and retire with a smile on your face. Well, we know that's a lie. That is a lie. We're in the information age right now. Things are changing so fast. A graduating senior is going to have 7 careers and 14 jobs by the time they're 40. And so many people right now, Mike, can't even find a job. Nikan and other network marketing opportunities is equally. If you get a good product and something that resonates with you, you can build a 6-digit income in the first 12 months. But you've got to have the education of what's really going on. This isn't business as usual. You're in your business for yourself, but you're not by yourself. So the beautiful thing is that we can be as crazy as we want. I love it that what women are doing. I love the fact that 80% of Nikan is women, because frankly, I'd hate to have to build this business with just men. Am I kidding? I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Men focus on the every 2-week paycheck. Men like to talk 400 words a day. Women like to talk 1,600 words a day. Women are compassionate. They're used to taking care of their kids, their husbands, their parents. Men. It's hard to get men to focus. You have to pay the price in the beginning. But the good news is the track is there already to run on, and we've got wonderful leadership in Nikan, and that was the gift that I had. I got all my questions answered the right way right in the beginning. Now we're constantly looking for the new tweaks that we can do to whatever. The compensation plan is changing. I believe it's gotten a lot easier now for people to see money quicker. But we've got a debt-free company, which is rare. We got a 5A1A Dun & Bradstreet rated company in 39 countries. We're going to open 3 more countries in South America by 2015. That's exciting. And America is probably our biggest opportunity right now. And we're right here. We have plenty of big cities, and not one person in 100 knows about Nikan. So it's great timing. Great time for someone to take this seriously. And we really need to see that colleges in the future educate about network marketing.
I agree, and I like the comment that you made at the first part of this point, and that was that network marketing as an industry, as an opportunity, is a great industry and a great opportunity, because there are a lot of other network marketing companies out there that are also good opportunities. But you said that find the one that resonates with you, and I really do think that all companies have a personality, and Nikan most certainly has a very distinct personality, and I think we are the only total wellness company, and we are driven by a philosophy which has a spiritual core to it. And so the people that tend to be attracted to Nikan are people who are maybe at that place in life where they know there's a bigger picture, there's a bigger calling, and it's not just about me, that the way to fulfillment is we. And so you'll find that as you do some due diligence on other opportunities, if that's what you're doing, that there is really a personality associated with every one of these companies, and Nikan is one that I have made home to 21 years and have had, just like you, have had the offers. I've had people throw checks at me and money at me to recruit me to something else, and and here I am. For the reasons that you've mentioned as well. We do have a question from Maggie McKee, who's asking us on our Google Plus platform. She says, can you comment on how you see the residual income training supporting us to build stronger teams who are more skilled and more confident in sharing the Nikan offer?
You know, when we first get our feet wet with Nikan, you know, the allure is that residual income that reproduces. I had been a tennis pro, and I understood residual income. I had 5 tennis stores in Florida and Georgia, 5 tennis stores in Nevada and California, and the headaches were unbelievable, and all those locations created more problems. In fact, every multiple location or multiple stream was a headache. And as I said, in some colleges now, they're beginning to teach network marketing. With all these different people graduating and not being able to find jobs, the college recruiting people are recognizing they better let network marketing be one of the options. So they're going to be starting to add that. I just think it's got to come from somebody who people will listen to. I listened to Reed. I understood that obviously if someone who's successful already can show you a check, that's great credibility. We're reading the book right now on a Monday morning call with Reed Nelson called 6 Figures in 6 Months. Wonderful way to explain how this works, why it works, and it also points out, Mike, some things that could go on where it doesn't work. And we know in life, the statistics are that age 65, 95% of Americans are either dead or dead broke. Very sad considering the time we live in. We live in, you know, all kinds of opportunity because of the financial downturn. So I think we have more information now than any time in the history of network marketing of what we can share with people. I know that the average person leaving college would, if they were given the opportunity to take $1 million cashier's check or a penny doubled 31 times, Mike, they'll take the cashier's check almost always until they realize the power of compounding. And in mathematics, that's the power we have to deal with network marketing. Our compensation plan, if you just find one person each month who will invest $100 in the product, and you each month invest $100 yourself, and you duplicate that for 12 months, the check's over $20,000 a month, with no one spending more than $100 and no one finding more than one person. But what we know is what's easy to do is also easy not to do. And doubt and fear will keep a lot of people from going ahead and moving in the direction of a solution to the problems. If you're going to look for truth in America today, one of the best places to look for truth is mathematics, because it never lies. And if you want to know who created mathematics, I'm going to give you one little math question. What is 111,111,111 times itself?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that tells me that no human being came up with mathematics. That had to come from God. So math, if you look at math and the compounding effect of us prospecting diligently and increasing our team every month, the compounding effect will take effect, and it can happen real quick if you find a superstar like Susan Carver or Barbara Albert, Bruce Albert, the ones I found in my first 6 months. But it will happen because it's a law of compounding. And if you don't understand compounding, you're going to pay compound interest. If you understand it, you're going to go out and build a network and enjoy the benefits like you and I have of the compounding effect of good people out spreading good news and creating a team.
That's an interesting way of putting it. You're either going to pay compound interest or you're going to earn compound interest if you understand it. You're either going to be a victim of it or you're going to be leveraging it, if you will.
Mike, we need to pass that message to Washington because they don't understand compound interest. They got us at 16 trillion down here. 16 trillion.
Talk about the best Ponzi scheme in the world, boy! Isn't that the truth? I heard that they're not going to borrow any. If the world doesn't continue to loan the U.S. government, they'll default on their loans, and it's the money that they're borrowing to pay to service the debt of the money that they're borrowing. It's just the biggest crazy.
You can't believe it. You can't make this stuff up. They literally they were talking about printing a $1 trillion bill. Just run $16 trillion bills and pay the debt.
Wow. Okay, so you would say then that the idea of building up skills and training people and investing in that experience. Like your early experience in Nikan was, you had a great source of information readily available to you to help you get on the fast track and learn the things right offhand. We heard from Susan, who, even though she's personally sponsored from you, she had this 2-year gap of being sort of in the fog, doing her own thing, making every mistake possible until she came around and realized, need to be open to receive the information. So it's not just having the information at your fingertips, it's being open to receive it, because we have all kinds of paradigms and all kinds of preconceptions and so forth that might block us from actually hearing what's being said. And so
the average person, when they start their first career, Mike, is got misconceptions about being in business. You go through the College of Hard Knocks, and even Robert Kiyosaki says millionaires today usually lost their millions twice and kept it on the third time. That's a statistic, and that's because because with money comes ego. With money comes ego, and what's an interesting thought? When people have money, they seem to think that translates in knowledge into all departments. And it's just like, oh, you got $1 million, so you also know about magnets. That's interesting.
Terrific. All right, we've got, let's see, about 9 minutes left, and so I want to sort of redirect now to where do you think things are heading right now? You've been in the business 18 years. A lot of the people who will be watching this will be people who are at the early stages of their Nikan career and wondering, what does the future hold for them? Should they invest their time and energy in Nikan? You're still doing it. And I just wanted to point that out again. You're not doing it, if I understand correctly, because you have to. You're doing it because? Why are you still building a Nikan business?
I have to, because it's what gives me the greatest joy. I mean, I just can't tell you. I do have to financially still. I mean, I have bills, and you know what? Any father right now who has children and grandchildren, Mike, these kids, they're going to need help. So I'm trying to put some money away so when these kids hit the wall, my 19-year-old daughter, I sat down with her, I said, Annie, I'd like to help you avoid some of the mistakes I made between 20 and 35. Dad, let me make my own mistakes. So, that's pretty tough. I know that there's some challenges coming, and I want to be able to help my kids. And I'm so excited. Actually, in my 18th year, I'm more excited than ever before about Nikan. I warn people that this business will make you very spiritual, because when you get a $35,000 check, and you get down on your knees and you say, Lord, let me live another 30 days so I can get another check like this. It's honest goodness truth. It's habit forming. But you know what? I shouldn't be satisfied, and you should be satisfied where you are. With what we have, we should have $1 million a month income in the coming years. And that's my goal. Now, I intend to live another 60 years, Mike, so somewhere in that range. If I don't, if Jesus doesn't come back sooner, I'd like to see a check of $1 million.
Well, I'll tell you something. The very fact that you just said that you have a goal of $1 million, being in this business, $1 million a month is in income, being in this business 18 years means that you have a reasonable expectation that is not only possible, but that you can actually do it yourself. I think that's huge for anybody listening in, because your goal might not be $1 million a month if you're brand new. You'd love maybe 2 or 3 or 5 or 10,000 a month. That'd be the big deal for you. But so obviously, Herb, for you to make that type of income, that means more people are making a lot of income within the business. So that speaks to where it is that we're going. We do have a question from Rima, who's asked us on Google+. How does Herb define leadership, and what it takes to be a great leader? Great question.
That's an excellent question. Well, one of my first definitions of leadership was, look around behind you. If there's anybody there, you're a leader. And I will tell you that my business has been extraordinary in that I found 2 leaders in my first 6 months who were very strong leaders. And to this day, those are my main 2 income streams. As in all network marketing businesses, you only find 2 to 4 people. Now, I've got a beautiful lady out in California named Robin Ekholm, who's now been married a little short time and is full-time in Nikan to Doug Spann, and she's married to him. And I believe that Robin would be my next diamond. But, the reality of it is, you just, at any given time, someone can show up that will catapult your business. So I'm out prospecting like crazy right now, working toward this goal. and of having $1 million a month income. And there's a lot of people that are going to hear about this. I believe there'll be a breakthrough in communication, Mike, where all of a sudden a lot of people find out in a short period of time about our business.
I agree, and that's that critical mass, that 100th monkey concept. And I think that's something we're all striving for, because I know what it means to shift a paradigm on a planet. We're talking about a lot of people, to go away from a society that has been dysfunctional in so many ways, believing that we can fix the problem after it's happened. Obviously, eventually you dig a trench so deep, a hole so deep, you simply cannot see your way out of it. And the prevention, the idea of preventing the problem, is much wiser than trying to deal with it after the fact. So that's a huge undertaking in itself. And that's why I believe, like you said, we got more people being born in this society than we have people being talked to about Nikken. This is never going to end. Our market penetration is simply, it's just not feasible at this stage for us to get anywhere near the kind of market penetration where anything like this would be viable on a store shelf. It's just not. They say about 10 to 15% market penetration is what's necessary for any product to be considered reasonable to be carried on some type of a store shelf, like a Walmart or whatever. And we're so far removed from that. And not only that, but we have over 100 products in our product line. So where do you begin? It's an amazing opportunity. You've been an amazing leader and a great supporter of this platform as well. I appreciate the support, and the Royal Alliance appreciates the support that you've given to make this platform available to us and public. With the few minutes that we have left, is there something that maybe comes to mind at this point as sort of the, if you had to encapsulate what this has all meant to you? I mean, you've done such an eloquent job already, so it's just, what would be the things that would sort of bring it to a head, and sort of a soundbite of what does this opportunity mean for somebody who's brand spanking new, somebody who just joined your team today maybe, or my team? What would you have to say for them? How should they look at this?
Mike, the gift that I had in finding Nikken as an answer to prayer, I believe, I love who I've become. I love the fact that I've had a chance to have money. I've had a chance to do for my kids what I would love to be able to do when they needed money for a trip to Spain or something like that, or to go to a tennis camp or things. I love the financial things I could do. The fact that I could sponsor kids in Child Fund, and in fact I could give to my churches nearly $500,000. And I love to look back on what's happened already and know that that's already in the bag. Now I can do some really big things. And to get back to that, answering the question about being a leader, I have never felt like I was a leader. I felt like I was someone who was really blessed. And Susan Carver and Barbara Albert and Bruce Albert showed up early in my business. Robin Ekholm is another leader I'm really excited about, and many other people I have on my team. But that's what I would like to become better at now, and is leading people who are already involved, that want that success. And I've grown more in my first 2 years in network marketing than all my prior education. I went to the University of the Highway. Bob Proctor selected me to be on a Monday night phone call for a year in 2005. I mean, what kind of a gift was that? You know, to have him telling you every week that we're going to talk about this and pushing me to shoot for more. And when I made Royal Diamond in December of that year, he said, "Herb, your biggest problem is going to be you're not going to set high enough goals." And you know what? He is such a wonderful friend, and I love all the information I got from him. And no matter what happens in my life, I feel very comfortable with my faith and my understanding of Nikken. And me as a leader right now is to share with what I've been given to the very best of my ability. My book is coming out in the next few months called Fit to Win, and it's going to talk about fitness in the body, mind, spirit, and finances. And it's a gift that God gave me that I would never have written a book, but He's given me this passion to get this book done. And it talks about, we're supposed to be healthy, we're supposed to be financially in good shape, spiritually connected, wherever that is, and, be in good relationships and be balanced like the 5 pillars. And it was just a treat to study the mind. I actually met a man who's studied the mind for 30 years, Mike, and he's got a training program that can reverse, he can really help people with brain issues and things like that. So, if you're a leader, you're constantly looking to improve and help others. That's a learning process going on, and then looking for who can I help. And there's no shortage of people that need help, right?
That's true.
That's
awesome.
A leader to me. Someone that doesn't sit back and go on the cruises and put their feet up, but someone that says, hey, the work's not over, and that's why I want to stay healthy. I need 60 more years to get done what I want to get done.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, I want a signed copy of that book. Fit to Win. Great title.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, we've been here live with Herb Rapp, Royal Diamond, former tennis pro, now Nikan superstar legend, and thank you so much, Herb, for sharing your wisdom, your insights, and your Nikan experience for those listening tonight and for those who get a chance to watch this on playback. Again, thanks again.
Mike, I can't thank you enough. And the Royal Alliance, and this is a modality that we should all be taking advantage of. The wisdom that's in these hangouts with you is fantastic. Julie's doing a great job. Igor, just a tremendous asset. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening and tuning in. And until we meet again, enjoy every precious moment. Good night, everyone.